Testimony underway in a 2021 downtown shooting that left one man dead and two brothers accused of murder. I'm Raphael James at 6 o'clock. Jaquez and Marquise Lawrence are charged with killing 27-year-old Anthony Holmes at Bridgeview Village Apartments on August 31st, 2021. Live 5's Emily Johnson was inside of the courtroom today and tells us the key takeaways from day 2 of this trial.
This afternoon's testimony really gave us more insight into that deadly 2021 night, with the mother of Marquise Lawrence's child, Sierra Brown, taking the stand. She's also first cousins with the victim, Anthony Holmes, and her sister as well, Jalen Brown, also took the stand. Sierra recalled an argument between her family and the Lawrences between buildings at the Bridgeview Apartments. She told the jury that she saw Marquise with a gun in his hands during the fight and said that he said, quote, "I would kill anybody." Her sister, Jalen Brown, testified that she saw both brothers with guns on that night. Jalen told the jury, quote, "I saw with my own 2 eyes that Jaquez shot Anthony." Both brothers fled the scene quickly after the shooting, according to both sisters' memory. This morning's witness testimony was from multiple Charleston police officers who were first at the scene and a medical expert who described the victim's injuries. Testimony will continue tomorrow with a few witnesses left for the state to call, and then the defense will have their turn. Reporting in downtown Charleston, Emily Johnson, Live 5 News.